Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Pascoe, and this video is all about the mind, body, and emotional aspects of the fifth chakra, which is the throat chakra. In this video, we will discuss the qualities of the fifth chakra and the contributions of the fifth chakra to the whole chakra system. We will discuss signs of imbalance in the fifth chakra, throat chakra energy, and I will also offer holistic strategies to help reestablish balance if you find that your fifth chakra is out of balance. The Sanskrit word for the fifth chakra is Vissudha, and Vissudha means purification. And if you think about that, the fifth chakra, the throat chakra, is all about truth and expression, expressing yourself truthfully, honestly. And when you do express yourself truthfully, you feel purified, you feel free, you feel light. And so the Sanskrit word means purification. The purpose of the fifth chakra in the system of chakras is to be able to offer self-expression, to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to express yourself articulately and coherently. And also, there's both ends of the communication spectrum. It also involves being able to listen and understand and hold space for someone else to communicate to you. The energy of the fifth chakra begins to develop around the age of 7 years to 12 years. And during that developmental stage is when a child starts to be able to express themselves more clearly. It's the fifth chakra energy offering that ability to have opinions, to form opinions, and to be able to express themselves. And that shows up in school when they're asked more questions and start to have ideas about the world and their lives and their friends. And so that's when that starts to develop. This developmental phase of being able to starting to express themselves is a continuation on the development of that individual. So we've gone through establishing life, we've gone through feelings and emotions to be able to move into your life. We've gone through third chakra, which is autonomy and independence and can-do attitude. And then fourth, which is love, where you start to form those connections and relationships. And now we are to the fifth chakra, which is that next level of that individual being able to express themselves out into this world that may be different from someone else. So it continues to develop that individuation of that person. The fifth chakra is associated with the element of space or ether. And it is one that really can't be without the previous element from the fourth chakra, which is air. Because if you think about it, it's associated with the element of space or ether. Because it's associated with expression, which is sound, we need that contained space. But air has to facilitate the movement of that sound in that space. If there's no container on that space, you can't hear anything. It has to reverberate off some kind of container, some kind of space. But it requires air, especially for the human, because the air has to pass through the vocal cords that contain space to create the sounds. And then, of course, the ears have to be able to hear that sound being produced. So it is associated with the element of space, but it does require the fourth chakra energy. And of course, the chakras are always a hierarchy. We need the lower ones established before the upper ones develop. That's just how that whole system works. And of course, I've said it before, we ultimately cannot take one out of the system and isolate it. They all do completely interact as a whole system. So the fifth chakra or the throat chakra is associated with the sense of sound, which makes space, because when we're expressing and we're listening, sound, of course, is the primary sense that's being used and involved in that. Fifth chakra, throat chakra is associated with the color of light blue or bright blue or teal or turquoise. Those kind of shades are associated. And the body parts, of course, it's the throat chakra. So the energy is centered around the throat, which also involves the neck, the mouth, the ears, the tops of the shoulders, which I think is an interesting body part for this, because this is where we hold our should list. Anytime you're saying to yourself, I should do this, I should do that, that's not a clear communication. That's not a clear, truthful expression. That's a blocked expression. I should do this. And so we hold that right here on the top of our shoulders. So of course that part of our body is associated with the fifth chakra. It's also, as far as body parts, associated with the thyroid gland, which is right around the throat. That's where that gland is. And again, you know, all of these have a relationship with one another. And so when we express ourselves truthfully, it is beneficial to our thyroid gland. When we're holding in and repressing information, we can have imbalances in that particular gland. We can have tight, tense shoulders, and they can be up here by our ears, just locked and built and stuck. I mean, that is just evidence of blocked energy if we're creating this burdens for ourselves, like these shoulds or shouldn'ts, that kind of thing. It lives there. And so when we express ourselves truthfully and accurately, even if it's inconvenient, it frees up that energy. A healthy, balanced fifth chakra, throat chakra, looks like someone who does express themselves clearly, coherently, in a reasonable amount of time. You know, this one I would say, I mean, again, we can't take any out of the whole system, but you think about this, and you know, I'm a holistic psychologist, and so my primary job is therapy. And this one is so significant because therapy is such a catalyst to being able to facilitate truthful expression. It's a place that you can come and you don't have to censor. You can simply be truthful, and the therapist holds that space for you to be able to do that and helps you sort through it and get to the roots of the truth, and being able, if that requires communicating to someone else, how to do that clearly and articulately. And so a healthy, balanced fifth chakra is someone that is doing that, hopefully throughout their entire life, everywhere they can. But if not, having that opportunity to do that with a therapist or a trusted person, to be able to express themselves clearly through writing or some other medium, to be able to facilitate that energy transfer. Someone that has a healthy fifth chakra, throat chakra, is someone that does not tell fabrications or elaborate stories, simply is able to hold space for the truth and articulate the truth. And I would say when it's learned, because this is not always known, because these things unfortunately are not taught until you have that opportunity to learn them, but someone that speaks with letting their words pass through the three primary gates of good communication. So someone that speaks by letting it pass through the gate or the filter of asking themselves, is it truthful? Asking themselves, is it necessary? And asking themselves, is it kind? And so truthful is pretty obvious. Necessary means what you're about to say, is that going to contribute in any useful way? Is it necessary to say that, or can you just avoid saying that? And then, of course, is it kind doesn't necessarily mean what you're going to express is going to be kind, because sometimes we have to express things that are not that kind. But are you saying it in the kindest way possible? Did you take the time to run it through that filter and make sure you're using words to be able to express yourself in the kindest possible way, rather than using words or tones that's going to be hurtful to another person? Imbalances in the fifth chakra, throat chakra, if it's in excess, what it looks like is someone that's super talkative, really does not ever take a pause in how they're communicating. It's excessive. Someone that tells lies or fabrications of stories. And this is often seen with someone, especially someone that had been raised in a household that there was substance abuse or a lot of abuse, and they have come to a point in their life that they no longer can tell the difference between what's truth or what's fabrication. This might sound crazy if you don't know this, but this does happen. When someone is raised in an environment that I'm skipping around a little bit, this is kind of some of the reasons for imbalance now, but when someone has been raised in an environment where it was so unhealthy that they could not share the secrets of the house or there'd be consequences, that they learned to completely lie about their lives, and to the point that it got so conditioned that they no longer could decipher or discern between what they were saying was truthful or not. And it gets very frustrating for people that are around individuals that are in this situation, because they say this person is lying. I don't understand why they're lying. And they will tell you they don't know that they are lying. It's not intentional. It's not malice. It's just they lost that ability. So that is an excess of fifth chakra energy, where it's lies, it's fabrications, it's talkative, it's what we call, clinical term is pressured speech, where they just can't get that information out fast enough. You can see impulse control issues, where they interrupt a lot due to that desire for pressured speech. And they're very gossipy, where they just are putting so much energy out there through that means. Imbalances that are associated with blocks and deficiencies look like someone that never speaks. They are shy, quiet, timid, reserved. You can almost tell there's a lot going on within them, but they're not expressing themselves at all. I would say also it looks more rigid than the excess block, where you can tell they're just gripping their mouth. It's tight. So they often would report jaw issues, a lot of neck tightness, a lot of constriction around the throat. And tight shoulders. And of course, those shoulders up by the ears, like I said, that is definitely an indication of blocked fifth chakra energy. To speak a little more on the reasons for the imbalance, like I said, especially with the excesses developing because that person was raised in an environment where they could not tell the truth, or sometimes anxiety with the pressured speech and the continuous talking, that they don't feel safe and secure enough to just hold space. You can see where all these elements kind of come in when we're talking about this, where they can't hold space for silence because the anxiety is too high. Other reasons, and especially during that formative stage of the fifth chakra energy, if they did start to speak their truth and express themselves and they were shut down, they were devalued, they were told they were stupid, or they weren't contributing in any positive way. And this can happen anywhere. This could, now we're talking 7 years to 12 years. So, things are happening outside the home as much as they're happening within the home. So this could be something at home where they're told to just shut up and go to their room, or this could be happening in school where they're having a teacher or someone that's not allowing them to express their opinion and they're being shot down. So those are some of the reasons that the imbalances occur. As a holistic psychologist, some of the things that I see, again, I always start with the body stuff because that's my lens. I look through the lens of the mind-body energy perspective. So someone that comes in, and again, they're so tight up here, and it's just so rigid. Someone that doesn't have a clear voice, they're talking and their voice is very soft, very meek, very mild. Or again, someone that is just nonstop. They come in and they just start talking, and it's just word vomit, lack of a better way to say that. But I think you know what I'm talking about if you've been around someone that it's just excess, like it just keeps coming out. So some of those are the things I see. And again, as a holistic psychologist, and I'm also a licensed addiction counselor, and I've done tons of addiction work, so I really understand those patterns that come in when someone, they're telling their story, they're relaying information in this therapeutic environment, and I know it's not true. I mean, it's just obvious that it's not true, but they don't know they're lying to me. They don't know because they've gotten so conditioned to live this secret life and to have this fabricated version of themselves that they are doing that. So those are some of the things that I see that come into my office. Of course, in addition, the reports that they have, things that they're not expressing. They're afraid to speak up in a relationship. They're afraid to express even the truth to themselves because it leads to inconvenience. So often there's some action in our lives that we need to take, and then we're not taking it because of the inconvenience. But in that process, not only is there no action taken, the truth of that is not even expressed. We're repressing it from ourselves. So I see people that come in that are doing that, and so much of the work is to be able to help them understand that just because they have expressed it does not mean they need to take action. There's many more things that go into that whole picture, but the expression of the truth for their well-being is essential. So going into some holistic strategies, some techniques that you can use if you're finding that you have an imbalance in the fifth chakra. We always lead this with the intention. So whatever strategies you're using, having the understanding and the mindfulness of the intention behind it. So the intention is to be able to express yourself truthfully, clearly, to be able to speak your truth or express it another way rather than repressing it. So no matter what you're doing in these strategies, having that be the intention to express yourself for the purpose of purification, to establish that healthy, balanced, free-flowing energy. Next, we'll go into movements that you can do. So these are always based around the particular area of the energy of that particular chakra. So throat chakra, around the throat, so that encompasses the throat, the neck, the top of the shoulders. So doing exercises, it's never too complicated here. This is always straightforward, right? So doing neck exercises, stretching your neck from side to side, doing exercises for your shoulders, and it's always strengthening in addition to stretching. But a lot of times, and I would say more than any other body part, you will feel the tension and tightness in here. And part of it is because most people, and I'm assuming it's all adults watching this video, by this point, you've probably held in a lot of information. And so there's definitely going to be, you might hold in information on a regular hourly basis. Or maybe you're expressing too much. I mean, here, I didn't mention this, but let's look at social media. You know, people that are just like, remember those 3 filters? Is it truthful? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Well, a lot of that is just flowing out there. And remember, it's not just the expression this way, it's the listening and the taking in. So sometimes we're overloaded just by what we're consuming through our ears or any other way that we're bringing that energy in, taking it in. So movements would be anything that's releasing tension in the neck through stretching, shoulders, both having the strength in the shoulders to be able to endure whatever your life requires of you, doing vocal exercises that you know, exercising your vocal cords, singing, doing mouth exercises, all those kinds of things for movement from the holistic perspective are going to be helpful. And again, I don't always say this in every video, but the holistic perspective simply is mind, body, energy, spirit, whatever you want to include in it. It's everything. It's everything that you can include, any way that you can intervene on your human. So movement, of course, is always a very useful place to start. Next, I go into breathing. Breathing is pranayama. Prana means life force or energy, and yama means it's a restraint. So to rein in, to restrain it, to direct it. So we're directing energy specifically when we're practicing pranayama, and that is how we're using our breathing techniques. And so with the fifth chakra, Ujjayi breath, which is a breathing practice that is associated with especially vinyasa yoga, but all of yoga. And that's often referred to as ocean breath. And that's because that's what that sounds like. And the way you do it, you set it up where you would imagine you have a mirror you're trying to fog. So as you exhale, you make that sound, which constricts the back of your throat, drawing attention there. And then you do that with your lips closed though. So you're breathing throughout your nose, but you're making that, I don't know if you can hear that with a microphone, but it's still that ha sound with the lips closed. And it's same for the inhale. That creates a purified effect right around the vocal cords. It draws attention to that area because you're doing something with that. It also has an auditory quality, so we can hear it, which then draws our attention again into a part of our body that's associated with the fifth chakra. So Ujjayi breath is a wonderful breathing technique. Again, it's associated with yoga, but you could, of course, do it at any time. Another one is lion's breath. I think I mentioned this during the third chakra, and that's that breathing technique where as you exhale, you stick your tongue out as far as you can and breathe through your nose, but that's lion's breath. So that's releasing excess heat from around that area. And I'm going to talk more about this in the seventh chakra video, but there are pairs of chakras that have stronger associations. And the third chakra and the fifth chakra are a pair. And part of it is because the third chakra energy is about autonomy and courage. And so you can understand how much autonomy and courage it takes to be able to express yourself. So that breathing technique can be associated with third chakra for courage purposes and blocks and releasing anger and anything that's built up in that third chakra, but also for the fifth chakra because they are an important pair of chakras that have a special association together to facilitate one another. As far as meditations that can be super helpful to balance fifth chakra energy, mantra. Mantra is it means mind tool, having a word or a sound that you repeat to condition an effect. And so when we're especially saying it out loud, I mean, you can do your mantras in your head because we hear in our heads, we hear our own minds. But when you do it out loud, you're having even more of a purification effect. It's purifying energy when you're reciting your mantra out loud. And so you can do that with a mala necklace. That's what they're for. I don't have any on today. I have a nice little travel mala here. So mala is where you use the beads and you hold the beads in your hands and you pass one through and you say your mantra and then move to the next bead and say your mantra. And of course, you're taking breaths in between. So it's a tool that just helps coordinate that effort of meditation, mantra meditation. So you can do mantra meditation, you can do one with a mala necklace. That's probably the most effective meditation that you can do to help balance the fifth chakra. And a simple mantra that you can do is, I can speak my truth. I am able to speak my truth. My truth is important. Reciting that over and over again can be really helpful. So that can be a mantra that you can use with that meditation. I always like to speak on food or tea. I'm a huge tea fan, herbal tea fan, because there's so many medicinal value in the properties of plants that I think is often underused. Now with the fifth chakra, it would be things that again facilitate that purification, that kind of clear out crud that's blocking your fifth chakra. So, when you have like a cold or something and there's just a lot of buildup in that area, the teas that help there are also going to help in general with fifth chakra energy. So peppermint tea, echinacea would be another one. In addition, it's simply putting a squeeze of lemon in a cup of hot water with a little honey. That is both purifying from the lemon and the warm water and soothing from the honey. I can't emphasize how beneficial that is. If you have a block in the fifth chakra energy, doing that on a regular basis can be super helpful, but pretty much any hot tea really would, because again, that warmth going down your throat, it's why we have tea when we have, we're just so comfortable with the blocks when I'm saying that, when it's like crud from a cold or something, but that clears that out. So it works in general with the fifth chakra. So tea and hot lemon water with honey. Activities that you can do, let's put top of the list, therapy. It is unbelievably beneficial. If you're watching this, there's a good chance you already have participated in therapy. People that are interested in these tend to participate in therapy, but to be able to express yourself again in that space if you haven't done therapy, the whole process of it, and of course every therapist is a little bit different, is that someone there is holding space for you to be completely truthful about yourself and sort through things that you may have established blocks where you've developed patterns out of convenience or necessity at one point in time in your life, and help you disrupt that in a healthy and productive way so that you can live more authentically in the moment. So therapy is super helpful. If that's not of interest or available to you, writing, journaling, that's a way of truth and expression, can be really helpful. Singing is a wonderful activity. Again, that's another way to express yourself. So singing, chanting, writing, any art form of it as an activity can be useful, again, with the intention. As long as the intention is there, that if you're creating some kind of art, like with painting, that you're using that to express yourself. It could be dance. It could be anything. If the intention is there, it's going to facilitate that energetic exchange. To go through the 5 physical senses, the sense of sight, of course, a lot of times it's what we're looking at that's associated with the 5th chakra. So easy with the color, having the color of blue around you. I'll talk about this now. Then I usually do gemstones later, but I have so many because there's so many wonderful gemstones. So looking at gemstones that represent the energy associated with the 5th chakra. So I have an abundance today. Amazonite is a wonderful one. I have a couple different variations of Amazonite. It's kind of like an aqua color stone. There's a lot, actually, depending on where you sourced it. Sometimes there's brown and white and other colors in it. But it's often referred to as a detached stone. It helps you let go. So if you're stuck on something, aquamarine is another really good one. It's often known as the stone of courage. And again, the association between the 3rd chakra and the 5th chakra, there's a direct relationship there. So it serves both, actually, having the courage to speak. Larimer is a quiet, confident stone. It holds the energy of the ocean, which is deep and vast and has a lot of information in it. So it holds that energy, but it's like a quiet, deep within, it's like a quiet confidence. Let's see. Then I've got turquoise, which is often referred to as the peaceful warrior stone. It's very much about expressing yourself, but in a very peaceful way. And then, of course, sodalite. Sodalite is often referred to as the stone of truth and expression. So that's an excellent 5th chakra. So having these around, I've got some over here. I've got Amazonite and a big piece of sodalite, and then a little bit of an apatite. Apatite stone, it's kind of more of a teal, is often considered an impulse control stone. And it's funny that its name is apatite because it's often a stone recommended when someone's trying to lose weight, because of the impulse control issue. When you're trying to lose weight, that's always one of the biggest blocks and barriers to accomplishing that goal. So you can have these things around you. So we're talking about the sense of sight. So seeing these stones, these colors, and knowing what their energetic qualities are can be really useful. For the sense of sound, again, this is the primary sense that's associated with the 5th chakra. So depending on what the imbalance is. So if the imbalance is excess, where someone has too much 5th chakra energy, it's just flowing nonstop, and there's that lot of kind of over talking, silence is the remedy. For the sense of sound, it's nothing. It's to be silent. It's to hold space for silence. That's going to help balance out that imbalance. When someone is reserved, the sense of sound could be speaking, singing, chanting, being able to practice creating sound and your own sound, and also using sound of others. Sing along with someone to help facilitate that energy through the sense of sound. The sense of taste, I kind of already touched on with the food. It would be anything that has a clear, clean taste to it. Water is fantastic. Water with lemon is fantastic. Water with lime is fantastic. Those are tastes that have clearing. So in the winter months, I think hot tea is most beneficial, but in the summer months, the hot months, setting up water, like getting a container and filling it with water and putting cucumber slices and a couple mint leaves in there, that is wonderfully purifying, especially for the fifth chakra for taste. For the sense of smell, right in line, purification. Whatever scents create purification, top of the list is eucalyptus. Eucalyptus, I think lime is wonderful, lemon is wonderful, rosemary can be wonderful. We're going to talk more about that with the sixth chakra, but again, that's right next door. So a lot of times there's overlap when the chakras are really close to one another. So those scents, the mints, anything in the mint family has a very purifying quality through scent. And you'll know that. Eucalyptus especially, that's why I put that top of the list. If you have a cold, especially like a sinus congestion, and you put eucalyptus in your shower and let the steam activate it, it helps clear out. It has a very strong purification ability. And then lastly, with the fifth chakra is touch. When the element is space, there isn't too much. So I would say it's space. It's rather than touch, it's almost like absence of touch. It's being able to be in open space. It's not contained. So that would be kind of how you would want to help yourself using the sense of touch for the fifth chakra. Again, it's just not much. So it's going outside, being in open space and being able to, again, use that intention to feel that, to free up those blocks and barriers. Maybe it's going out somewhere. I live in Colorado, so it's really easy. You can go up on a mountaintop and you can get into places where there's nobody else. Not that I necessarily recommend that, and then yell, scream, sing, do whatever if you really need that kind of vocal release. But it would be space for touch, lack of contact. And then I always include the gemstones, but I already spoke on them. So sodalite, aquamarine, larimer, amazonite, apatite, those are all wonderful gemstones. And then lastly, I like to discuss some journal prompts, and especially with this one, because this is about truth and expression. And sometimes we don't have the opportunity to do that verbally. And although that is ideal, it just is. Being able to express yourself through writing is a close second. And so journal prompts that are something like, if I were to express my truth, what would it be? What would I like to be able to say that I'm unable to say? And that's particularly important because sometimes you can't, and sometimes saying it could be consequential. But again, it's the purification that we're going for. So just even being able to take some time and journal out what you would like to be able to say if the conditions were available to you. And even in the act of expressing that can be very useful to you. So asking yourself what you would like to express, what your deepest truths are, what would you like, a burden that you would like to free yourself from, and taking the opportunity to journal those out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this information useful. I have a fifth chakra yoga practice, which of course does involve Ujjayi breath, if you want to practice that. And also all the yoga videos, the chakra yoga videos do include the full body. I would never offer a yoga video that really didn't have that element to it, but emphasis on the areas, stretching around the neck, the throat, releasing tension, tightness in the upper shoulders. So that is available to you. And I hope it, nothing else, like all these videos, they just spark your curiosity a little bit. The chakra system is fascinating. I think understanding these things about ourselves can be super helpful for self-healing. And I hope you did find the whole 6 strategies useful to you. Thank you for watching.